Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tiny Blue Games. My name is, of course, Seesaw or Chris, and today we're talking about World of Warcraft Classic in 2019. Now, specifically, we look to answer the question, should I be excited for WoW Classic if I'm a casual player? And well, the very short, quick answer for me is I think so. And I mean, there's a lot more to this, and we'll get into it in a second, but the first thing you have to ask yourself is, hey, are you a casual player? Because I identify as a casual player, and I think a lot of people probably do. I mean, even by clicking this video, you probably on some level are thinking, yeah, I'm probably a casual player. And you're probably right, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's actually a weird, a thought in the MMO world that casual is bad, but it's what makes up the largest proportion of players. And that's really how I define it. If you're the average Joe MMO player, you're probably a casual player. You probably have a full-time job, or you're a student full-time, and you play in the evenings for maybe an hour or two, and some nights you don't make it on. Maybe on the weekends you play for a bit longer, maybe with some friends, but there's going to be some days you just don't get on the game at all. And that's completely fine. That's what a casual player is in my mind. And I really think that's actually the more healthy way to go about games in general, but specifically MMOs, because one of the most damaging thing in MMOs is when you burn yourself out, and that's not fun for anyone. So with that settled, if you think you are a casual player, will you enjoy WoW Classic? Well, yeah, I think so. Like I said before, I definitely think WoW Classic has something to offer here. And it's something we've actually seen a lot of in the MMO scene recently, is kind of a resurgence of these old school MMOs. Specifically, old school RuneScape has become extremely popular. And once again, I'd argue it's become quite popular with casual players. And it doesn't really align when you think of it at first, because one of the biggest things all these old school MMOs that World of Warcraft Classic has is some more grind associated with it. And you'd be like, hey, shouldn't I be playing the game that doesn't have as much grind? Shouldn't I play World of Warcraft retail that's, catered to casual players, that kind of has a checklist of dailies, of weeklies that I can do when I log in game? I mean, yeah, if you like WoW retail, you should keep playing it. There's no reason you should stop. But if you're someone who's not enjoying WoW retail, who's not enjoying MMOs having weeklies or dailies, or more than anything, just a checklist of things that you need to do when you log in and feel like you have to rush through them and that you need to accomplish them before you log off, if you're someone who doesn't love that, you should probably consider World of Warcraft Classic or any of these older games, because it's more about you defining your goals, about the journey as opposed to the destination. And that's one of the most damaging things that I've heard in MMOs, and it's something that I hear all the time, is that the game begins at max level. It starts once you hit level 80 or 120 or whatever the max level is in your game, or if it's retail WoW 120, that's when the game begins. And for a long time I heard that and it made perfect sense. I was like, yeah, okay, that's when you get to start doing dungeons and collecting gear. Nothing really matters. It's kind of a tutorial until then. Well, do you know how much content you just said doesn't matter? Because if you're talking about World of Warcraft, that's an incredible amount of content. And you're going to get to end game and then you're going to be like, oh, there's actually not that much content that matters. I was doing air quotes. You didn't see them, but they did happen. Whereas if you look at WoW Classic, the entire journey matters. It's an accomplishment in itself to get to level 60. It's an accomplishment to get to level 40. You're going to feel like each level or couple of levels, each talent point, each skill upgrade, each mount matters. And that's going to be so important to you along your journey. It's going to make it so each little play session, there's a mini goal that you're kind of working towards, even while you're leveling. And yes, there's still a game that begins at max level. You're going to start collecting more gear, you're going to start raiding, you're going to start focusing on that end game as well. And that's definitely part of the game, don't get me wrong. But so much more of the game is in that journey. And that's such a beautiful thing that the game brings to the table. One of the other biggest differences that WoW Classic has is its focus on socialization, and this once again is very common with older MMOs, whereas new ones have kind of, over the years, catered to the idea that you don't need to talk to anyone. They've become less and less MMO and more RPG, which really, it helps, I guess, if you don't have the time to talk to people, but how long does it actually take to talk to people versus just pushing a button? I mean, yes, there's going to be the times where you're not able to find a group in WoW Classic, where you go into the chat and you're like, I only have an hour, does someone want to do this quest or this dungeon, and you don't get a response. Well, you might just have to do something else, and that kind of sucks. I get that. But there's ways to improve that. Maybe you make a group of friends that you like to play with. Maybe you meet a guild that you like to play with. And the biggest thing here is a group of friends or a guild with the same play habits and play style as you. People that log in after work, people that only have a couple of hours, people that might want to do a raid or a dungeon each week, and that's it. If you find those right, like-minded people, you're going to have a nice pool of people that you like interacting with, that aren't going to expect too much from you, that you're not going to expect too much from, and they're going to be the best people to play with. Now, there is a little bit more upfront work where you have to put that together, but comparatively to WoW Retail, where you push a button, and don't get me wrong, you can definitely still make a group of people, a group of friends in WoW Retail. You can still make a group of guildies in WoW Retail, and you can still have a tremendous amount of fun, but there's a lot of ways around it. You're forced into it in WoW Classic, and it's a scary thing. As a casual player who hasn't played that style of MMO in a while, it's a scary thing to interact with people, and that might be super silly, and people watching this video are like, okay, get over it, like, why are we even talking about this? But no, it's kind of scary to make that initial interaction. But if you do it, if you put the time in, if you find those people, the amount of enjoyment you're going to have, once again, from those very basic achievements, from those very minor things that aren't even achievements in WoW Retail anymore, it's going to be amplified, because you're going to have people celebrate with you. You're going to see congrats when you level. When leveling in WoW Retail, have you seen someone say congrats to you? Like, it happens occasionally, but it doesn't matter that much because the next level isn't that far away. It's in WoW Classic, it's something bigger. When you come with your badass mount, people are going to be like, whoa, how did you save up the gold for that? It's such an interesting feeling. So having these people, yes, it's intimidating maybe to make new friends, but if you do it, these experiences, these memories, they're going to become more unique to you. They're going to become more enjoyable, and they're going to be something that you actually want to go on and do. Because that's the biggest thing to this entire argument, and you might have, heard it from the start until now, but there's a big difference between having a game that is catered to the casual, that you can actually go on and just play for a bit, or a game that you actually do want to go on and just play for a bit. There's no point of playing one that's catered to casuals that you don't really like doing. You may as well spend your time playing the game that, sure, it's made to be more grindy, but I love what I'm doing when I'm on. I feel satisfaction, I feel growth, I feel enjoyment. And yes, you should consider this. It's a game, I know, it's just a silly game, but it's something that you, like, when you look at how many hours you've put into this game, like, especially as someone who's played WoW for a while, or MMOs in general, we put a lot of time into MMOs. And that time should be time you enjoy. It shouldn't be time that you spend just completing tasks just to feel like you might have earned something. And don't even get me on about the idea that sometimes you don't even get a reward that you want from the tasks in WoW retail, that's a whole nother discussion for itself. But it's definitely a more impactful engagement you'll have with the game. So that's my opinion on it. I'm sorry this video got kind of weird, which is such a weird thing. This seemed like I was looking at the paper. I'm like, what am I going to talk about today? Let's talk about if casual gamers should be excited for WoW. Well, hell, I'm excited, and it's getting me really invested in this video. So if anything, I'd love to hear your own thoughts in the comments below. Are you excited for WoW Classic? Why are you excited for WoW Classic? And should casual players be excited for WoW Classic? Thank you for watching. If you wanted to subscribe, I'm definitely going to be putting out some WoW Classic content when it goes live. I do also play Final Fantasy XIV. I manage my time between both games. If you're someone who hates one of those games and just won't be chill with that, I do get it. And that's fine. But if you're someone who'd like to come along for the ride, I'd love to have you. And if you could drop a like in the video, I'd love it as well. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.